is August 8th, Saturday, and we have turned 26 weeks pregnant today. We just got home from another appointment with our midwife, Bliss, and we have some exciting things we want to share with you about what we learned today. So I have been every now and then showing him little videos of home births, little glimpses of what it's going to be like of women giving birth in water or stuff like that. So a video.
This one baby shot out of this woman's vagina like it was a torpedo. It literally shot out, hit her in the leg. It's crazy. So
she was in a position braced backwards. And a lot of, I didn't realize this till he said it, but a lot of the home birth videos that I've seen, especially in water, the woman usually, once feeling the head come out, starts to hold on to the head and usually guides it out with the push. But this was the first time I saw a video where the woman was braced back, and when she gave the final push, there was so much energy and the baby just shot out. But is in water again, so it's like swimming out. Looks like a fast fish. Anyway, so I showed him this video and he's in awe, which I didn't even think about the speed at which the baby was coming out when we saw this.
It hit her in the leg.
But he's like
and the leg, that just doesn't mean that it just like, the leg was like really close and so it hit the leg like as it was coming out. No. Completely out and then like whoosh, and then hit her leg over here.
Like her leg was so far away. It wasn't that far, obviously. It's like this much distance traveled.
In baby terms, it was far.
Either
baby
way,
underwater terms.
Either way, and then from that moment you see
next Michael Phelps.
You see her, grabbing the baby and keeping it underwater for a while. And this is something we've talked about with our midwife before.
Just taking a few seconds before she picks it up.
But you had asked this before. So wait, what? The baby can be born underwater and stay underwater?
Drown immediately. Of course, that's what I would assume.
But that's a similar experience to what the baby has been in. It hasn't taken a breath, so it can come out and live underwater for a while without needing to bring it up to air right away, which is
craziness.
Crazy experience. Anyway, so that was the one video that I showed him, and then right away I saw this picture, this beautiful photo of a newborn child with the umbilical cord and then the large placenta that was almost the size of the child sitting right next to it. Yeah. And so I just showed him that photo.
And the placenta looks like something you'd see, I don't know if you saw the movie Gremlins, but it's like when they all melt, or I don't remember what happens, but some of them melt and like they're in this little puddle of melted gremlin. That's what a placenta looks like.
From his perspective. And so he...
Objectively saying, it's almost the same thing.
We're done. We're done with that. Back to placenta, not gremlin placenta.
All right.
So he was very grateful that I showed him this photo because he's like, I'm very glad I know what that looks like, and I'm very glad I'm starting to wrap my head around.
I don't want the first time of me seeing that to be ours.
My placenta.
Oh, now it's just yours.
It is definitely just my placenta.
Oh, okay. I have nothing to do with that placenta.
No.
None of the DNA in that placenta is mine.
Anyway, so then
I am offended.
Then right away he goes, "You're not going to eat that, are you?"
And I said that because she's talked about people eating their placentas, which to me has seemed...
Without education.
Before even knowing what it looked like, it seemed gross to me.
Without education, without knowing.
Of course. I don't even know what it looked like, so of course I'm not educated on it.
Yeah.
Then I saw a picture of it, and it seemed even more gross because of the way that it looked. To me.
So, I just said, I knew this, we were a couple days away from seeing our midwife.
I'm also a texture eater, so like I can't even eat oysters, really. I can swallow them if it's a social thing.
Again,
I'm not chewing an oyster.
This is such a great example of when someone were to hear, oh, people eat their placentas, they're thinking knife and fork, fresh out the womb, bloody. Like, people go to this one scenario and then just cut off.
We go to Fear Factory. Remember Fear Factory? They're like, oh, we're gonna eat the bison balls now, and it was like popped, and it was
So I can understand how modernized, more people that haven't been exposed to this conversation might go right to that fear type of mentality that just seems gross, and then close their ears off from listening and even being educated on the history of
why people do it.
Right. So I just said, and
that people do it
I'm
too.
not educated on it. I just know, I have this instinct feeling that I know that that has been a long-term ritual with Eastern medicine, and just knowing that it's natural and how replenishing it is for the woman, but I didn't know the details. So
Mammals eat their placentas.
I didn't want to get into it with him because I was like, I don't know enough. He's someone that needs to know the facts, like needs to really know, and I would have just been talking about my feelings, and he needs to. So I was like, okay, let's put a pin in this and let's de-pin with bliss. So we de-pinned today.
Mm-hmm.
She brought up the placenta first, and I said, okay, so this is what happened today. Can you please educate us on the history of placenta eating and why? Do you want to share what you learned today?
Well, she said
You're
that
good
mammals
at that.
eat it. She said that people,
All
Chinese
mammals,
culture
she said.
especially, she said all mammals, have been eating it for a long time. Sometimes they sit down with the whole family and the whole family eats it. And a lot of it, she was saying, is good to replenish hormones, replenish iron. Obviously the mother just went through a lot, and so it's about replenishing the chi, because you lose a lot of your chi in the birthing process.
These are obviously different approaches that people have in different parts of the world. And
I'm just gonna my teeth. Oh, I'm just gonna fake it with my teeth.
I want you to continue talking about what you learned.
I think that was everything. That was everything.
She talked a lot longer about it. She talked.
There was the chi stuff for sure.
She said a lot of times when a woman gives birth and has a lot of excess bleeding, that is the quickest way to replenish that energy. And so she said, if that happens to you, I would then suggest in that moment to make a smoothie for you with your placenta.
Now that's just a very small piece. You wouldn't even know that it was there.
She didn't even say how big.
Obviously,
much
it's
you
not
would
the
put in.
whole thing, because
Of course not the whole
you'd
thing.
be able to taste it.
But she said you wouldn't be able to taste it. Who knows
So if I couldn't taste it, it had to be a small amount.
Well, she never specified how much you take.
I'm 100% sure it's a small
But she talked about all the different ways that people consume it, and there's so many different ways. So there's capsulation, and there are two different types of capsulation. So the traditional Chinese
Eastern
medicine approach is to steam it first, because they believe there's so much loss that happens from the woman after giving birth, that they want to replenish as much chi, like he was talking about, with all warming foods, warming soups, all
By warming,
warmth.
you mean warm, actually warm.
Warm foods. So they believe that they steam the placenta, and then they dehydrate and they capsulate it. Now, she was saying a little bit more modernized.
Capsulating means put it into a pill.
And taking it in a pill, which I think is probably the most mentally freeing. Like, okay, this isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's in a pill form. You're not going to be like, oh my god, here's my
I'd pop some
placenta.
placenta if it was in a pill.
That's so great to hear. I can't wait to sit around the dinner table with our family and pop placenta pills together.
Sure.
Anyway, so that's one way. And then she was saying the modernized, more people are now like, well, why process it more than we need to, thinking that the steaming process is taking away nutritional value. So people are now also taking the placenta and dehydrating it straight as it is, and then capsulating it without the steaming process. So that's another form that people are doing. She said that also people are putting it in alcohol, right?
Yes, you can put some of it in alcohol, and then it'll stay.
It can last through menopause, so
many years.
You can use it when the woman is in menopause. And then the other thing she was saying, obviously in smoothies.
You can also use it for the kid.
Child. So she's saying you can go and get homeopathy, if you're into homeopathy, you can turn the placenta into a tincture that you can then give to your child.
What's a tincture? A dropper?
Yeah.
A liquid form?
I don't feel confident about my answer, but I think so.
Okay.
Should we look up tincture?
I have no idea how to spell tincture.
I think it's Tinture.
I'm gonna see T-U-R-E.
Yeah.
That's a small
Typically
glass.
an extract of plant or animal material dissolved in ethanol.
Ethanol.
That's what it is.
And usually you probably do drops of it. Or
A tincture.
So basically, be like medicine, but it's a homeopathic medicine.
She was also talking about where the blood comes from when a woman gives birth is because the placenta is detaching from the body and creates a wound inside the body, and that's where the blood comes from, which is not something I ever thought about before.
Didn't know that.
She said, so as the uterus shrinks and goes back to its original size, it needs to contract
after the
labor.
Born.
It needs that contraction to help heal the wound and go back.
The capillaries so they don't bleed. So if you're over bleeding too much, that's why. It's your uterus isn't contracting quickly enough.
He's so much better with retaining certain information.
It's crazy that the placenta is being ripped off the wall of the uterus. It's a tear. That's what causes the bleeding.
And then that when you breastfeed, that stimulates the contraction in the uterus. She said if you were to take the baby out and put it right onto your stomach right away, the child would on its own sense the nipple, see the nipple, because they don't have a lot of color, so the nipples are meant to darken. So the baby can see it and will go to find the nipple.
Like the instinctual
there's
thing.
A sense that the baby
smells
to draw it toward it, and then there's a word that I'm so mad I forgot, the kicking word that she said, and then you'll see that the child will be kicking its feet, and that action is also meant to be pushing down on the belly to get the placenta to release, right?
I think it was to help the uterus to contract.
I think that was to get the placenta release because it happens immediately.
Yeah.
So you take the baby out, you put the baby straight on the belly or on the chest, and the baby will be kicking down, and that's meant to be helping release the placenta. And then also the baby goes to find the nipples, which also helps the contractions of the uterus after it's a whole thing. It's a whole Mother Nature thing that is crazy.
Yeah.
It's just not normally talked about, the beauty of this experience, and it's such a shame. It's such a shame that I'm 34 and I believed this in my heart, but I didn't have visuals, I didn't have the education, I didn't really seek it out, I just knew this is what I'm gonna do. And he's 38, and it's like we're hearing about this for the first time, and all before that we've been meant to believe that birth is this terrifying, excruciating thing that needs to be sterilized in the hospital, and of course sometimes that needs to happen, and some people believe that's how they want to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just wish it was more commonly shared of the natural way that that this has always been done.
And it wasn't such a villainized fear tactic sort of thing.
And now he's sitting here talking about popping the placenta pills. I mean, what a turnaround.
Okay, let's go eat. Time for dinner.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. You've been a lovely audience. Be sure to tip your waitress.
Lovely aliens?
Audience.
Oh,
aliens.
Like you said aliens.
What is aliens? Sounds like a TV show.